Hello, my Astro family. This is Lada from astrolada.com, here with news about the June 21st eclipse 2020. I'm sure by now you want to punch my face every time you see me online because I always have kind of scary news. But you know, this year has been outrageous. This year has been, I don't know, masterfully crafted by the divine mind to awaken us. This year has been, it's kind of like a separation point between the new and the old. Just like a birth of a baby is the most traumatic experience for a woman, I can tell you that. It took me years to recover. The same way the birth of a new life, the same name of a the birth of a new era requires some traumatic events, but it will bring something beautiful. It will bring a new life for us. So, you know, and on a personal level, the eclipses always create fated events. If we have, especially this kind of eclipse, which is with the North Node, which is the same, which is the one on the 21st of June. If you've been, you know, everyone has a predestined path, like a track that they're going on. And oftentimes we veer off that track. And this is the path that your soul has prepared for you, the path that your highest self has prepared and knows that you'll be happiest and you'll fulfill your mission and you'll have the biggest inner satisfaction and contentment if you follow that path. But we have free will, and we often like go off, you know, of the tracks that we're supposed to walk on, and we're allowed to for some times until an eclipse, until a powerful eclipse comes in our lives, affects our sun or ascendant or the moon or some other important part in your horoscope. And especially with Rahu, it just puts us on the track that is the right one for us. But as with any derailment and change of direction, it can feel stressful, uncertain, scary at first. It's like the earth crust in your life, metaphorically speaking, is moving, is shifting. The continents are rearranging themselves, and that's it can be a scary time, but it's taking you on much closer to your soul mission and what you're supposed to do in this lifetime, because the North Node in astrology that is part of this eclipse that is causing is connected to realigning you with your future. And bringing fated events that you basically had a soul contract before you were incarnated for them to happen. So important events happen then, but not everyone feels this eclipse fully. You know, you need to, everyone will feel it in a certain area of their life, and we'll speak about the 12 signs according to your ascendant or sun or moon. But the people that will be most strongly affected are those that have planets in the last degrees of the mutable signs, which means Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces, or in the first 4 or 5 degrees of the cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. And whether you have the Venus or Moon or Mars, or, you know, if you don't know astrology, you just probably know your sun sign, but you can see it very clearly and very easily with my free transit calendar. The advertisement at the beginning was for it. I'm just gonna share my screen, and here it is. You can go to it. I'll put a link below this video, and you register, you enter your details, birth details, time of birth, place of birth, and then you get something like that. It's usually for 7 days only ahead. So if you, I've opened for this one a whole month. So if you don't have for 7 days, so if you don't see it because it's on the 21st, and if you're checking now, maybe it's, you know, there's more than 7 days, go and check in a few days. So go and check on the 17th or 18th, and you're gonna see if on the 21st, the eclipse is activating anything in your horoscope. And this is the eclipse is indicated by this solar eclipse. This is a solar eclipse. So if you see this, solar eclipse conjunct the sun. This person that I've entered here has it conjunct the sun, but it might be conjunct Venus, or it might be conjunct Mars, might be conjunct your Neptune, you know, or the ascendant or the midheaven. So you will see exactly which one it is, or if you have this eclipse activating anything, to be honest, because for some it might not be. But if you definitely, if you have planets in the late degrees of the mutable signs, I said, or in the early degrees of the cardinal signs, the first 4 or 5 degrees, this can be, as I said, those fated events that are meant to come for you, that are putting you on the path that your soul has chosen. And even if they feel kind of stressful, because eclipses are big changes. I mean, even when I heard that my mom has given birth to my brothers, it felt like a punch in the stomach. When you hear big news, or when I found out I was pregnant, it's shocking. It's a shock to the system. even when it's good things. And eclipses can bring a lot of good things as well. Sometimes bad, sometimes good, but they're fated things you can't escape from, basically. But always the collective is first effective, you know. This eclipse will influence people on the collective. Let's talk first about the world events that are possible to happen, and then we'll speak about the personal events. Well, this eclipse is happening at 0 degrees Cancer, tropical Cancer, but it's very close to two stars. They're called Betelgeuse. Remember the movie Betelgeuse, Betelgeuse? You call it 3 times. And the other one is Menkaliman. So for the whole world, Betelgeuse and Menkaliman, okay, let me speak about these two stars because eclipses activate those stars. So Betelgeuse is a star that is known as, it's part of Orion. And this is the war constellation. Orion is a warrior. Orion, the belt of Orion, he has like a, you know, like a weapon in his hand. And Betelgeuse is one of those stars in the constellation of Orion. And it's a constellation of war, rebellion, but also strength and courage. So for the world, we might continue to see such trends, that there is a trigger of rebellions, that there is kind of a warlike spirit around of the people, that, but also they're showing strength and courage for whatever they believe in, for whatever they feel it's an injustice of any sort. But it is, you know, because often the planetary alignments manifest in the collective for everyone in the world, usually the more difficult manifestation, because the collective consciousness level of humanity is lower for most parts, you know, while individual human beings usually can have a much higher vibrational manifestation of an eclipse or any astrological indications, because of the unique development. And usually people who come here to watch those videos, they're some of those people with a higher, you know, vibrational level, where they don't align to anger, to judgment, to hatred, where they're looking for love, for peace, you know, where they're starting to resonate with those vibrations. And usually then even the most difficult astrological influences are subliminated into positive and used for constructive and very powerful positive developments in life. So it very much depends on the level of consciousness. But even if something difficult happens to you, don't judge yourself, oh, I'm at a lower level of consciousness. Know that your higher self is trying to align you to a better path. But yes, for the whole world, as I said, it might be, usually we have to mention the most scarier manifestations that an eclipse can bring. And being close to Betelgeuse, a warlike star, you know, rebellion, and that eclipse has been active already for a month. We're seeing it, you know, we're seeing it. We've been seeing it the last 1 month, rebellions and wars, and you know, and it's going to be active for 6 months at least after that, sometimes up to a year. 6 months to a year. So this is not just for the 21st of June. Also, if the eclipse is falling on an important planet in your horoscope, the sun, or Venus, or moon, the change can happen anytime within the next 12 months, the big change that eclipses bring. For example, my husband had last year eclipse right on his birthday. It means right on his sun. And immediately nothing happened. Emotionally, there were some things, you know, like a mini crisis, but within 7-8 months of the eclipse, he discovered a new mission in life. And just like what basically my calendar says, solar eclipse in conjunction with your natal sun, for example, if you're born on the 21st of June or the 20th of June or the 22nd of June, you know, a new birth of personality comes. He discovered his mission, his career, renewal of vital energy, kind of catharsis. The personality is provided with new opportunities, and basically, um, it's, you know, it can be like a new career, a new direction. So there can be some amazing indications. You know, you can see in the transit calendar if it triggers any planet and what it means by clicking on the transit, and it will give you a long description of it. But collectively, as I said, it's maybe foreboding that till the end of the year there is a possibility either of war or more rebellion, but also people will be showing so much strength and courage around the world. And not only because eclipses influence the leaders of the countries, so they'll be showing a lot of strength and courage, or maybe rebellious nature and warlike behaviors as well. Sorry. And also Betelgeuse is, and also in Vedic astrology, Betelgeuse is called the constellation of Ardra, which is indicated by a tear or a raindrop. And in Western and in Vedic astrology, this part of the cosmos or the sky where the eclipse is happening is indication of violent storms and of much rain. And because the eclipse is happening right on the first day of summer for the Northern Hemisphere, it affects at least the next 6 months, at least the next 3 months, basically, sorry, the whole season of the summer. Or if you're in Australia, of the winter, the start of the winter. So around the world, there is code red and more danger within the next weeks and even 3 months. That might be more rainy summer in some extension, or stormy, like tornadoes, anything that is kind of the storms of Ardra and Betelgeuse. They're a bit distractive. And they're not necessarily always, just rain, but it is called the violent storms and much rain. So it is possible around the world. And the ancient even said that it's kind of direful for our agriculture. So the crops, this is what might be affected. This star in particular, because of the weather, because of the stormy energies around that are there. And it's also harmful to cattle. So I don't know, it's like cows and such kind of stuff, people that are agriculturists, that are farmers. I hope God is with them, and I hope they pray to have their animals protected. But these are the things that might be a bit more difficult. But Ardra or Betelgeuse, it has different names. Betelgeuse, Ardra in Vedic astrology, is it is the constellation of tears and the star of tears, but also of frustration and anger. And I call it the star of righteous anger. You get frustrated for a good reason, or even angry to the point of tears about something in your life or someone in your life that is harmful to you. And this anger, there is no bigger motivation to make a change usually than anger. Depression, if you feel depressed, you cannot do anything. You're stuck. When you're depressed, you have no motivation to change things. You're just at the bottom of the ladder when you're depressed or feel shame or guilt. But the higher vibrations above that is anger. So anger sometimes is really good. And anger is the thing that kicks us into action. Even they say that when a person is depressed, they don't usually kill themselves. They'll kill themselves if they, that sounds horrible. I'm giving the worst example. Usually they need to start getting angry to even have the strength to kill themselves. But because this is the worst example, let me give you an example with something else. You're depressed, you don't want to do anything, and you suddenly you become angry. You look around and it's so dirty, but when you're depressed, you don't pay attention, you're not bothered, but when the feeling goes to anger, you're looking like, what a mess. And what do? You start cleaning up. You get angry and you do something about it. So I call this the star of righteous fury and anger. And the good solution, because it can be very destructive, Arda. When we get angry, we can do things that we regret so much, that one moment of anger and passion and you kill someone, and that's it. Your whole life is destroyed after that. Or you say something, or you do something out of spite, you go and cheat on your spouse. And one mistake ruins 20 years, for example, of good work and loving relationships. So anger can be really destructive. And Ardra or Betelgeuse, you have to be warned that this eclipse can create moments of anger. You might be feeling it already. You might be feeling very strong around the end of June and the beginning of July. But this anger can be self-destructive, destructive towards others. But the good solution is controlled anger. When you control the anger, direct it to the things that harm you. Direct it to someone that has been, righteously, someone who's been doing something behind your back, someone who's been not fulfilling their duties to you or being toxic to you. Now you're allowed to express your anger righteously. If you let it out of control, it can be destructive, But like Vigdikara says about this nakshatra, I love his interpretations of nakshatras and stars. You can check him on YouTube. This nakshatra is not the nakshatra of turn the other cheek. This nakshatra is the nakshatra of get angry and do something about it. And even if you have to turn some tables over in the market like Jesus did, this is what you have to do. Get angry. And righteous anger can be like at yourself. Oh my God, look at my muffin tops. I can't stand this anymore. I'm so angry. Or, oh my God, I'm constantly having pains in my body. I can't stand this. Or look at this acne. I'm going to stop eating milk or dairy. Or I'm going to, do something about those muffin tops. I only get motivated when I get angry most of the times. I don't know about you guys. I'm not at this elevated level yet where inspiration comes to me, where I do things out of inspiration always. Maybe 80% of the best things I've done is out of anger or out of frustration. So this is the power of this eclipse for us, to trigger us into this righteous anger and fury and frustration, to trigger us into, to direct this anger. And anger is a great force of energy. It is kinetic energy that can be used, towards the things or the people that harm you. So, okay, let's go quickly through the 12 signs. And Menkaliman, I forgot to say that the other star very close to the eclipse is Menkaliman at 29 degrees Gemini, and the eclipse is at 0 Cancer, so they're next to each other. Menkaliman is a star of leadership, according to Hermes, the ancient books of Hermes, which Trifon taught us. There is a webinar on the fixed stars on my website that talks about that. And you won't find this information on the fixed stars anywhere else because it's a recently translated ancient text of Hermes, what each star means. And Menkaliman is a leadership star. So there is a great focus on the leadership of the world and brave decisions that are taken. But there's danger of violence because of Betelgeuse as well. And in your personal life, this righteous anger that you feel from Betelgeuse can turn into you taking leadership and initiative in your life with Mankaliman, and taking something in your hands and in control, and starting directing it in the direction you want, becoming the master of your ship. And still, because the eclipse is new moon eclipse, new beginnings. So something might get you angry, that you destroy things, or after some destruction, something powerfully new will come up into your life. You'll make space for something powerfully new, and that will stay for a long time. A new direction, you'll create something new. And so it's kind of like the storm that washes away all the dirt and prepares the land for fertility. It's kind of like it's like after a big storm, it smells so fresh and clean, but during the storm, it's full of, it's nightmare. But that's kind of how the big, powerful, positive new beginnings for you can happen through first some kind of storm, some kind of righteous anger, some kind of destructive forces that trigger you into new initiatives and taking the leadership and creating new beginnings in your life. So very quickly, let's pass through the 12 signs. I don't want to make this a long video. So for Aries rising in particular, sun or moon, always check first the rising if you're a woman or born at night, the moon second, and the sun if you're born during the day, or if you're a man as well. Or if you have a stellium, which means many planets in the same sign as your sun, but check 3 of them, start with the ascendant. So if your Aries, sun, moon, or rising, this eclipse is happening in your 4th house. So there might be it can indicate some kind of anger or frustration with home and family that triggers you to initiate something new, or frustration with your home environment, with your place of living, with people that you live with your family members, parents, some kind of storm that can happen there, that this righteous anger in this direction makes you maybe move to a new place, buy new property, change something big about your home, or take the ship in your own hands in regards to how you lead your personal life. Stormy emotions are possible for you, as well, especially very early born Aries, like the ones born the 20th, 21st of March, 24th, because the eclipse is squaring their sun. But also stormy emotions for all areas that can happen, they can be triggered by some kind of crisis in the family, but which creates, and it's a bit of a shock, but it creates new beginnings for the family. Some people might find out that, they, even if there is some kind of a tense situation with family member, this will push them on a new track with the whole family environment and situation. Also, it can indicate that powerful new beginnings are in store in your personal life, like not only new place of living, but new family member, big changes in the life of your mother or one of your parents, uh, hopefully for better, you know. And if you're Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Rising, the eclipse is happening in your third house. So there is powerful, there might be some kind of stormy relationships that are happening, especially with siblings, with relatives, with neighbors, with friends, with people online, with clients. These are people in our daily environment, with teammates, playmates, people at work. So there is a possibility of some crisis, there are stormy things, but also you can feel like righteous anger towards such people. And the good solution again is to control that anger and to direct it towards the things that harm you, and even to confront such people. Is it a sibling? Is it a neighbor? Is it a teammate? You confront them now and you sort it out, but don't go destructive. It has the potential to you to become destructive. Control it, and you can create something better in this relationship or out of this, you know. So you can rebel against such people, relationships as well, of those sorts of the third house that I mentioned. Or maybe just fight a bit more with people on social media. On that third house is also social media, social groups. You can feel like more called to express your anger in words, spoken or written, or make a video or write something that expresses your righteous frustration and righteous anger, and kind of, you know, towards the things that you consider harmful. But again, also it will push you to take control of those things, because the star Mankaliman is there to take leadership, to have courage, you know, to have strength in regards to activities connected to the third house, and initiate new such, like learn, like start like a new project in a small group environment, like start a new business project or commercial project is the third house, like start some projects with writing or speaking or social media or videos of any sort. It's very businessy house, so it can indicate big initiatives from your side, and taking the leadership over the next 6 months in regards to learning something new, learning a new skill, starting a business, starting a new marketing campaign, you know, or starting. And third house is to learn really new knowledge, new skills. So that's another manifestation. Or even a journey, some righteous anger, frustration can push you to go on some journey of sorts, or on a writing a book or whatever. All those third house activities. Then if you're Gemini, the eclipse is happening in your second house. You might feel righteous anger towards your material situation. Out of frustration, this can push you to take initiative over the next coming months to really change your financial situation, to really initiate and take in control and have leadership, like Mankalimanda star, in regards to matters to your finances, resources, possessions. And it is a bit of a destructive force. So you might feel like first called to destroy certain possessions or attachments to certain material situations, but it will bring out of it, it's, you know, Ardra is the storm, and the after the storm, the new rejuvenation of life and life force. So to rejuvenate your sources of income, some new source of income can come, some new source asset or resources that are important to you, you can appear. And self-sufficiency, this is very powerful for you to kind of become more self-sufficient and able to rely on yourself materially, financially, to support yourself. The second house is the support of the first house. The first house is you. The second is what supports you. So you're being more self-sufficient, more self-reliant, materially, financially, even emotionally. You become more resourceful. The second house eclipse there, out of frustration and anger, maybe some resources are missing or something that you need to fulfill a vision, you get frustrated about it, and something creative comes out of it, and you create new you know, new resources of this sort. Sorry, my mind went a little bit blank. And okay, and it's also the food that you eat. So an eclipse in your second house can indicate a turnaround in how you feed, what food you eat, new beginnings in regards to your relationships with food. And that might be very long lasting. That might be for life, because eclipses can bring changes for life. And it can happen out of anger. You're like, I'm fed up of feeling bloated. Okay, I'm going to stop eating meat or whatever, you know. But there is this righteous anger that first comes, and you rebel against the current situation. Or you might rebel against restrictive financial situation, or uh, obligation of a material nature of some sort, and that you, because of that, you act on it and you change things there. Hopefully no, if especially if it's a harmful situation financially, materially for you, something that bleeds your money, something that, you know, and because of that you get angry at yourself and you say, okay, I'm no longer going to spend on that, or I'm no longer going to uh, you know, you get angry at how you budget and how you run your finances and money, and over the next month or two you start initiate a process of new beginnings in regards to that. And your self-worth, the ultimate second house energy, is that you get possibly kind of like righteous anger at the way you allow yourself to be appraised, or to think of yourself, to how you valuable you feel, how worthy you feel. And you can initiate on a new path to raise this self-esteem. This is more like self-worth. And you can start courses or affirmations, or just like a new, or suddenly you can realize that, wait a bit, I'm worth much more. I'm charging $50 per hour, I'm worth $100. And when you start, and there's like a breakthrough, eclipses are almost like intervention from the cosmos. A breakthrough happens in your consciousness, and you realize, actually, I'm worth way more. And that triggers on a new path, that maybe within the next 6 months you can have a double salary, or you can have twice as much income from business or whatever, because you've appreciated yourself in a different way. You've appreciated, and it happens probably you first get angry, why I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, it's just so much work. I'm having 100 clients, instead I prefer to have 5 clients, but you know, quality ones, and charge 10 times as much. You know, I'm giving you one example. It can play out in many different ways, but by shifting your self-worth and how valuable you consider yourself you are, this shifts your opportunities for what you can attract as material um, blessings around you in your life, and how you are rewarded. All right, so if you are a Gemini, of course, well, this is if you're Gemini, sorry. If you're Cancer, if you're Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising, the eclipse is happening in your sign. I advise, if you're Cancer, to go and check the first part of the video. Everything that I talk about is valid for your life on every single level. Everything, because it's happening in your sign. So the first 15-20 minutes of this video, I don't know how much the introduction was when I talked generally about the eclipse, is all relevant to you. So let me give you a few examples. If you happen to have your sun in Cancer, especially the first degrees, which means you're born in the June-born Cancers, especially the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, even up to 25th of June, this eclipse, you'll feel it strongly. And I can tell you some things that can happen. And the other Cancers as well, but to a lesser degree, not so much, you know. Or if your ascendant is there as well at the first 5 degrees. But you know, you feel this eclipse the strongest in your personality. It can be like a big change in your physical appearance. Some of you might do, because the first house rules the appearance. Big change in your health, how you approach your health, how you take care of your body and your health as well. And it can happen through you getting frustrated, some righteous anger, and because of that you take this initiative. Big change in the way you present yourself to the world, especially if it's your ascendant. In the big change in the direction of your life in many levels, whether it's the sun, if it's the moon, it might be big change in your personal life. For example, when there was a Rahu or North Node eclipse on my moon, this is the year I got pregnant. And next year there was another one, I got pregnant again. So the moon is motherhood, nurturing. If you're in this age, it can indicate a big change in your family life, in your personal life. It can indicate a big house, a new place of living. If your moon is around those degrees, it can indicate a new family member, a new big changes in the life of a mother figure and such. If it's the sun, this can be your career. Like I gave example with my husband, he had eclipse on his sun in Cancer last year, right on the degree, and that was within 9 months. He finally discovered his mission, his passion, a big turnaround from being a from it's usually it's like a big shift from being in one career to totally new career. Often they can be promotions sometimes with this, a big race, but also first it starts with some crisis, especially immediately around the eclipse. Identity crisis, self crisis. That's what it happened with him. That's it. He had an identity crisis when the sun was eclipsed. Who am I? What do I want? And why can't I find what I want? And he got quite depressed and sad or upset or angry. In this case, it will be more like frustration, anger, and that pushes you onto the path, which will help you discover that mission, because the sun is connected with mission, with worthy activities in life. But also because it's very close to the star, Menkalimani, it can lead to some leadership success, to some taking control of your life. And receiving some role of leadership. And also it can indicate big changes with important males in your life. Father, like when my husband had the eclipse on his sun, within a month, his father called him and said, I'm getting married, I'm selling all my businesses, I'm retiring. And like, what? So big changes in the life of important men with bosses or father, if it's your son. If it's your son, then everything, you in particular. And big new beginnings, you're starting new things. I forgot to say, if you're Gemini, in the last degrees of Gemini, so basically born around the 18th, 19th, 20th of June, what I'm talking about, Cancer, is also relative for you. Or if your ascendant is at 27, 28, 29 degrees in Gemini, also powerful new beginnings in your life personally, not just connected with resources and finances, because the eclipse is conjunct your ascendant or sun or moon. So it's directly changing your career if you're Gemini, the late degrees, or your family life if it's the moon, and emotional connections, or your whole direction in life if it's the ascendant. Okay, if you are Leo, sun, moon, and rising, the eclipse is happening in your 12th house. Usually Leos often have, especially if your sun is in Leo, they would often have planets in Cancer. So do check the transit calendar. If the eclipse is happening on a planet, usually Venus or Mercury, some of you Leos might have Venus around 0 degrees, Cancer. So check it out in case, because that eclipse can turn around your love life if it's Venus, or your relationships if it's, your business or work if it's Mercury as well. Okay, but for Leos, the eclipse is happening in the 12th house, is extremely intuitive. Leos will be like, kind of like receiving information from other dimensions over the next couple of weeks till the eclipse is at its peak. In the dream, it's almost like the veil between the worlds will thin for them. This 12th house is so strongly activated. The 12th house is the invisible worlds, our departed loved ones on the other side, your guardian angels. And for example, it can be fantastic time to have a reading with a psychic or a medium or someone who is connected to the invisible worlds, because you can receive very fated information that it's first of all, it's allowed that such information is given to you because of the thinning of this world, the lines between the two worlds. And also you can just download this information in your subconscious by dream or just by inspiration or intuition of some sort. So it is kind of, rely on your intuition very strongly. It's going to be quite powerful. But also the 12th house is hidden enemies, and you can feel like a righteous anger. You can discover something about someone who has been doing something behind your back, or talking something, and you can feel this righteous anger, and that it's actually the time to confront such people now. In the previous eclipse, I was saying don't react. This was the power of the previous eclipse. This eclipse is confront them, but in a controlled way. And even if some destruction needs to happen in that relationship, of course, don't make it too extreme, of course, but you can be able to, for example, really start on a new foundation with such kind of secretive actions towards you. Or it can indicate that you're starting a new initiative in a faraway place. Eclipse in the 12th house is faraway places, like whether it's import, export, or some business deal with the people from faraway place, or some investment you're doing in a faraway place, but it's something new that will come to you over the next few months, connected to a faraway place, or even an opportunity to travel to a faraway place, or some long journey. But yes, that might be a great indication that you can make an investment in a foreign place, maybe a home. It's Cancer after all, the eclipse, like a home far away or something, or property. Or it can also indicate that there can be new developments, very powerful, very fated in regards to someone who is trying to get citizenship or live in a faraway country, you know, like foreign citizenship as well. Some powerful developments there, and there can be first frustration with that. There can be some situation of frustration or fury and anger that makes you initiate things to make it happen, right? 12th house is a spiritual house as well. You can feel some spiritual battle within you during this eclipse, maybe some rising fears, because the 12th house is house of fears, almost unconscious ones. We don't know where they're coming from. They're coming from the subconscious. They're rising from past life memories or from invisible forces and entities, because this eclipse really thins the wall between such entities. You might feel more psychically attacked or more psychic as well, but also like much more sensitive. You're picking on other people's feelings. You're picking up on thoughts and feelings that really galvanize your soul. And you can feel like almost like righteous anger towards your own inner demons. And because of that, you can initiate a great, I would say like a crusade almost, because remember, Betelgeuse is a star of war and rebellion against your own inner demons or against your own self-sabotaging behaviors. The 12th house is the behaviors that are keeping us in a rut. For some of it might be addictions, for others might be fear of success that are based on past lifetimes, that you don't even have a logical explanation of why you're doing those things. You don't understand it. You're doing it compulsively or unconsciously almost. But it's things that self-sabotage you, that undo you. Secret vices. Vices is the 12th house. So you can start a war, Leo, on those vices now. This is the harmony, like it's like create a storm day in your subconscious that destroys everything and your inner demons. And you can do it by starting to go to therapy for some of you, others delving into mysticism, into prayer, others delving into you know, subconscious memory rising to the surface, and you know, and that can create this new, how did I say it, crusade against your inner demons and vices. Okay, so if you are Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, start with the rising. This eclipse is happening in your 11th house, and it can indicate some storm in your friendships or your social environment or the social groups that you're part of, or online or whatever. It can get stormy there. People might be fighting more. People might be more rebellious in nature. You might join such new groups. You might join organizations like, I don't know, Antifa or something more rebellious, more warlike. You might be drawn to such organizations to have confrontations with them. Or you might just want to become a part of, a member or of a community, because the 11th house rules community that is more warlike, that is more about strength and courage, taking initiative in their hands because of the position of Man next to the star as well, leadership. And it can also, or you can just join some community of leadership people with leadership ambitions as well. And you can express your controlled anger through social participation with the movements, protests, you know, so you can feel most attuned to become part of such membership organization or trend. But also it can awaken new interest towards society, towards the world, towards politics, what is happening around us on a collective level. This is the 11th house. It's humanitarian, it's social, in political interest, but of course it's stormy. You know, it's a stormy star, Betelgeuse. So and the constellation of Ardra, where it's happening. So there might be some stormy situations around your political, ideological views, in groups with friends, or some acquaintance. And you can even feel some righteous fury or anger towards such groups or organizations, or towards a friend of yours, which pushes you into maybe taking control, directing your anger in a controlled way towards harmful friends, or towards harmful groups and memberships that you're part of. Plus, the 11th house is gains. So, out of some frustration, or out of like, anger, you can say, okay, I want to gain more. And because it's a new moon eclipse, which means new beginnings with Rahu, which can create financial opportunities over the next 6 months to a year, this can indicate that you start a new business opportunity, or a new gaining opportunity, or a new project that will create more gain, or more social acceptance to you in certain spheres. So it's good for, it's indication that there might be some new social economic involvement, whether with a business opportunity, or whether with some social movement opportunity as well. Or towards the 11th house, the house of goals and dreams. You have a goal and dream to fulfill in this lifetime that is very cherished. This eclipse can kickstart it for you. But first, you might get angry, for example. Okay, so if you are Libra sun, moon, or rising, this eclipse is happening in your 10th house. Ooh. So that can be, okay, there might be some stormy situation with an authority figure, father, boss, institution of some sort. And you might be warring with such figures, or there might be some kind of a huge change. And you might have to actually direct your fury and anger towards something unfair, or towards something harmful to you that comes to you from your career, or from people in authority. Or you might just be fuming about the people in authority, whether it's people in government, or some institution of some sort. And this righteous anger can push you into powerful initiatives that can change your social status. And it's happening close to a star of leadership, Man Kaliman. So on the positive level, for some of you Libras, it can mean getting some peak over the next 6 months in regards to your career, getting a new beginning in regards to your career, or taking control and becoming a master of your own ship in your career. And actually, I would say that if some of you, it can indicate more independent and free careers connected with more freedom of some sort. But one thing is rebelling against authority, that this eclipse can happen, and some power struggles there, or anger. The other thing is strength and courage in regards to matters of career and initiating new career projects. And for some of you, it can mean new social status overall, especially the early born Libras, those that are born in September 22nd, 23rd, 24th, or who have ascendant sun or moon in the first 5 degrees of Libra, especially, or if they have, midheaven in the 0 degree of Cancer, if you know how it is. That's why I check the transit calendar. It will show you if this eclipse activates exactly your 10th house cusp, the midheaven, or something else in your chart. But definitely, you can expect some new beginnings that are maybe triggered by some frustration first, but that can grow powerfully and give great fruits, because this eclipse is a full eclipse in regards to your career and social status. If you are Scorpio, sun, moon, or rising, this eclipse is happening in your 9th house, actually quite supportive. 9th house makes a trine, and it can indicate, okay, let's speak about the negative. There can be some righteous anger and fury in regards to belief systems. There might be some power struggle, clash in regards to belief systems, and some tears because of that. Someone believes one thing, you believe another thing, there is a clash. And you can feel angry with 9 houses, the worldview, how you perceive the world currently. You can feel angry about what's happening in the world. You can feel angry about what others are choosing to believe. You can feel angry And it's righteous anger. If someone is harming you with the, with the beliefs that they impose on you, and because of that, what can happen is that you express angrily your own beliefs, that you go and state them, and in your own truth. The ninth house is your truth. So it can create some tense situations with others, but you feel like, I don't care, I want to state my truth, I don't care what the consequences are. And so this righteous anger, you control it towards the things that harm you, the things that you believe are not good and not moral in this life. So you might be like a fighter of truth for the next few months, starting with this eclipse. It might be like you're really ready to put your voice out there and teach and preach and try and open people's eyes. But also on another level, it can indicate the powerful new beginnings over the next few months, which starts travels for you. For example, it can, all that is happening in the world now, or some frustration, can push you towards to start a long travel around the world, if that's possible. Or ninth house is also relocation, or it can indicate starting on a new course of study. You can start suddenly studying astrology, or you can start suddenly studying any kind of other higher knowledge or university degree. Some frustration can push you towards the direction of undertaking new higher knowledge studies, or to pre-qualify in some way, but to start the process of studying about that. Ninth house is also teaching. People that, some of you might have the opportunity and they can initiate some teaching project, counseling or teaching, or ninth house rules that advising. And or you can initiate some import export business, some dealings with people from foreign countries or from other social levels, kind of people in higher positions. Or it can be the birth of new idols for you, and new icons and inspirational figures. New teacher can appear for you as well, and that teacher will be quite stormy. If it's triggered by this eclipse, that teacher will even press your buttons to create some tears in you, but it's like the teacher who clears the path for you for new growth after that, and pushes. And because the eclipse is next to Menkaliman, who pushes the strength and courage qualities in you, and who triggers the warrior qualities, but also the leader qualities in you. So you can appear some such inspirational figure, or father-like figure, or mentor figure, whether female or male, or just maybe reading someone's biography that can trigger those activities in you, those qualities in you, sorry. All right. Then if you are Sagittarius, the eclipse is happening in your 8th house. But if you're later degree Sagittarius, basically if you're born to 18, 19, 20, 21st, 22nd, 19, 20, 21st of December, or if your ascendant on the moon is in the last 5 degrees of Sagittarius, this eclipse will actually happen in your 7th house. So it can directly affect relationships. But for most other Sagittarius, it's happening in the 8th house, which means that there can be some secret that comes to the surface. 8th house is connected to secret, to private and very sensitive information, a bit kind of taboo even, that comes to the surface, that might shake you a little bit. Something that you discover either about the past or the future, but it will influence your future in a strong way. And it might create some anger in you, righteous anger, they call it, because of the star involved there, Betelgeuse. But also the star Menkaliman is to push you into action, to undertake something. The hidden information or secret that you discover can push you in situation to undertake something like a big transformation in your life, or especially in your intimate and very personal relationships, which is related to the 8th house. There can be some crisis as well connected to your intimate and very personal relationship, like with a sexual intimate partner. Some turbulent sudden developments there that initiate a new phase of that relationship, or that actually can even initiate a new sexual, intimate, private relationships. It might be preceded by a sense of a bit of a, like a storm. It can be very stormy sexual relationships that starts, because now it is a new moon eclipse, so something new comes. 8th house is hidden secrets, lovers, and such type of things. So a new stormy sexual relationship, more secretive, can happen, or more, you know, it's Victor calls the 8th house a house of soulmates, almost like, oh, it's like you can't keep your hands off of yourself. You have such intense desires towards each other, but there is a bit of the situation there that is a bit obsessive or extreme. It's like it's a bit karmic as well, but there is a possibility for such developments in your relationship. If you're already in a marriage or in a committed relationship, there can be some shaking up of the trust between the two, or some shaking up of the intimate life, and the renewal, hopefully a renewal of the intimate life. But the 8th house is also the house of getting pregnant. Some of you, it can indicate that you get pregnant, by the way. You know, if you're Sagittarius rising, to a lesser degree sun or moon, if you want to get pregnant. And that's kind of a shock for you. There is also the possibility of the 8th house is mutual resources and finances. It can indicate that there can be some power struggle, or some kind of a even frustration and anger in regards to resources that comes to you from others, or resources that you exchange with others, clients, business partners, marriage partner. But that anger and frustration creates new beginnings. So you can undertake certain new initiatives in business that can bring you more of the client's money, or new business collaborations that can bring more resources to you of some sort. Or it can indicate that there can be a new beginning in the resources of your partner, like your partner over the next 6 months starts bringing or creates a new source of income and has some big score, or one of those things. But initially it might be a bit like stressful, because something new is happening there. You have to quickly adapt to the new financial circumstances, especially connected where you're not fully self-dependent, where kind of the finances are connected somehow to another source as well. All right, and yes, some power struggles. 8th house is the house of power struggles are possible for you, Sagittarius. But they're kind of hidden. They're not fighting in public. Whoa! You kind of, it's kind of a cat and mouse game that can happen. And often in karmic and soulmate relationship of sexual intensity, this can also exist. Okay, then, and it's also a transformation, a kickstart of a big transformation when an eclipse happens in the 8th house, but also bringing psychological deep transformation. It might not be visible for others, but you can have a big breakthrough now with some compulsive or obsessive or even addictive behavior. And it's going to be sudden. It's not going to be gradual. It's going to be like you wake up, I don't want to smoke anymore. Or you wake up, that's it. I can, you wake up and you're like, that's it. I'm ready to bridge over. It's like, or if you've been feeling pain or grief. Sometimes people grieve after the death of someone or separation. And if you've been feeling this from some time, now this eclipse can kickstart like the immediate healing process. You wake up and you no longer miss this person. You wake up and you don't feel the grief anymore. I know grief comes in waves, but somehow like a breakthrough psychologically. That's a good thing, you know. And you can be much more focused on topics of the occult. Some of you can start studying astrology or tarot, get really into researching psychologists and learning about their hidden triggers and motivations and how their subconscious works, or anything occult, anything spiritual, astrological, psychological. This eclipse can kickstart a deep interest in such themes for you, and very deep intuition and very deep sense of, smells like a rat. There's something's not right here. It triggers your strong Scorpio-like qualities. Even though you're Sagittarius, it will make you kind of like X-ray to smell when something is wrong. You know, so trust that intuition. But again, as I said, it can indicate a big score through the resource of another, support from another that comes within the next 6 months as well. And we talked about this intimate sexual side as well. Okay, if you're Capricorn, for most Capricorns, especially early born Capricorns, those 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th of December. But all Capricorns, the eclipse is happening in your seventh house. Often when the eclipse is in one's first and second, seventh house, it's when fated events connected to relationships happen. And because it's with Rahu, it can indicate some of you might meet now a fated partner. Some of you might meet someone that stays in your life for a long time. Some of you can have some very, and because it is Ardra, it can be very turbulent and stormy relationships that starts for some of you. It's cathartic. Ardra is cathartic. It's the storm that clears the path for the sunshine, and that clears the debris that washes clean the world. And the same way some relationship that washes you clean, but it can start quite stormy. If you're already in a relationship, it can indicate that there is a new beginning starting to happen in the life of your partner. Maybe they'll start a new job, or maybe they'll have like epiphany, they want to do something else, or it might be even some initially like a crisis that is like you really need to adapt to the changes that are happening in their life. But changes happening through partnerships are very powerful in this eclipse, or in your relationships overall. And as I said, because it's with Rahu, even though it's stormy, even though it can create anger and fury towards a partner or from a partner, it can indicate that you can gain a new partner, or maybe you get frustrated with your relationship status, and this frustration makes you go out and chase a partner or contact someone new. So it is a new person. It's with Rahu. It's not, and because of that, you can actually really change your relationship status and find someone, a relationship or partnership. It can also indicate a business partnership or new collaboration that's coming for you over the next months, but immediately around the eclipse, you should see inklings about that, or the important developments. So new business partnership, new collaboration, but also it can indicate that your partner or either gets angry with you, or business partner or client, or you get angry with them, and it's going to be righteous anger. And the good solution here is to control the anger and direct it towards things that harm you. So to sort out, to confront a partner about things you don't like, to confront a client or a business partner as well. So a crisis can happen, but the ultimate goal is for you not to turn the other cheek to another person. This eclipse is about confronting and being courageous, having strength, and expressing your anger in a controlled way, so you can fix or improve the situation in that contractual personal relationship there. But also seventh house is open enemies, they say in Western astrology, so you can have a confrontation with someone, definitely, and express your righteous anger towards them and them towards you as well, so these people no longer harm you. So they don't think you're, what's it called? Like walking, something to walk on. I forgot what it was called. All right. So if you are Aquarius, yay! Aquarius rising, sun or moon, this eclipse is happening in your sixth house, most likely, if you're using whole sign house system, for sure. So and it's a 0 degree, so ground zero, something totally new will come in your life in regards to your health over the next 6 months. It's an indication and a sign that you might take a radical direction in regards to how you maintain your health, exercise, work, diet, bad habits, anything that you might be physically addicted to, whether, medicaments, allopathic, opiates, painkillers, drinking, smoking, mentally and physically addicted, or what's that called, like antidepressants. It might be a radical change in this direction. But also the sixth house is finding a diagnosis. So you might feel so frustrated with certain health situation of yours that you go and seek out and you undertake some initiatives that you find someone who diagnoses you correctly and gives you the right remedies, you know, and it's a process of about 6 months to a year where healing can happen there. But definitely now you can radicalize and change first by feeling, you know, what's that called? Like righteous fury. So you're like, oh, I don't like how, you know, I don't like how I feel. I've not been feeling healthy enough. I've not been feeling strong enough, or my back has been hurting, or whatever. I've been having, you know, pain in my breast or whatever, which I have been for 2 years, and I'm afraid to go and visit a doctor. And what are they going to tell me? But now you can take initiative and be courageous and strong in regards to such health matters and confront them and start doing something about them. But it might be triggered by a crisis sometimes, like a health crisis or a health scare or a health kind of frustration that pushes you in that direction to change your lifestyle and health habits. Sixth house is also work. There might be some frustrating situations at work or with employees, or if you're the employee, you know, in your work environment, like you know, that frustrates you, that makes you angry. And because this eclipse is about confronting and directing your anger in a controlled way rather than turning the other cheek, it might be time to stand up to someone you're working with or an employee, and to, of course, that indicates some crisis there, but to stand up and to speak up for yourself if you think it's harming you. Or you might speak up, okay, I don't like the light here in the office, or this is harming me. I don't like sitting next to the 5G antenna in the office, so I want to stand up and speak up, and I want to change. Or you might be like, the whole process in this office and how the work is being done, or I don't think it's rational, I don't think it's efficient. And you can stand up and confront the things that harm you, or frustrate you and anger you in regards to your work, but do it in a, you know, instead of like, I'm quitting, that's it, do it in a controlled way. This is the answer, and you're going to succeed, because the new moon eclipse gives you something new. So it will give you new environment at your work. It will give you a new job. For some of you might have righteous anger about their job, and they can start a new job, you know, over the next 6 months. But starting from now already, it can be righteous anger about people that you have hired to do something about you, and you're like, what's happening, why are you delaying? And you confront them. Or righteous anger about, or just frustration that pushes you to start some new projects at work of some sort, or, you know, uh, but also it's a Menkaliman being there, like you have initiative to create new job opportunities now, new work projects. You take it in control and you start leading in the direction you want. But there is this possibility of some frustration first happening, then that pushing you in this direction. Pets and animals. Some of you might get a pet or an animal. That's another thing. Okay. And if you're Pisces, sun, moon, or rising, or rising, moon, and sun, you know, in the right order, because the rising is always the first one I advise you to check. This eclipse is happening in your fifth house, which is actually making a trine to Pisces. But this can be reboot and reset of your love life. So if you're Pisces, rising, sun, or moon, they can be like a new love interest that appears in your life. That might be quite stormy. That might be quite excitable, I would say, as well. And it can create stormy moods in you as well. But it's kind of it's going to be a new romantic relationship if you're single, not someone from the past, because Rahu brings someone new, someone different. And if you're already in a relationship, this can, it can indicate some kind of a reset of the romantic part of the relationship because of frustration. You get frustrated, like, we haven't had sex in so long, or you haven't been romantic, or you haven't taken me for a dinner, or I've neglected my partner, and it feels like we're roommates now, kind of situation. You're like, I feel frustrated with that, I don't want that. So the eclipse triggers you to pay attention to this, and this righteous anger, to direct it so you can fix the situation and restart and renew the romantic side of a relationship. The fun side of a relationship is the fifth house. When you go and have fun and enjoy yourself, you can initiate new ways to have fun with in a romantic life. Or even if it's not a romantic life, you can just suddenly feel like, I'm so frustrated, I've been just closed at home, I have not been having fun, I don't care, and you get angry and frustrated and you want to have fun and you make a plan to go to cinemas, theaters, whatever it's open around you, to go on a holiday, fifth house, to have fun somewhere, you know, to paint the town red or let your hair down, as they say. So you can be even a bit more wild partying that initiates and it triggers. And exploration for the next few months into your more, I don't call it hedonistic side, but fun side, in the side that makes you feel more alive, makes you feel more creative, makes you feel full of life. So you can be enough. I've worked enough or whatever, or enough. I need to do something more fun and more liberated. It can even press some of you through frustrations to creatively express yourself. You might be angry with something, and that can fuel, because this is the star of anger and rebellion and war. And this can fuel your creativity for some of you. I don't know, just make earrings with writing symbols, you know, or just write a story or make a video or anything that is your own creation, or make a product if you have a business, something that you create that is connected to that you create that because you're first triggered by frustration or righteous anger of some sort. It might be a righteous anger about, oh my God, I'm fed up with how my business is doing. So I need to have a new idea and a new product that is way more excitable, that is way more creative, and that kickstarts the creative project. But also you can have righteous anger and fury towards a loved one or a child. And it can get a bit stormy there and a bit frustrating. And because of that, you initiate a new beginning through in that, you know, you initiate like a new beginning of that will be more emotionally nurturing as well between the relationship with your child. Also, it can indicate a big change happening in the life of a child or in the life of a loved lover, you know, in the next 6 months. But fifth house is your own creative self-expression and your own creativity, and kind of even there might be an opportunity for some of you to put yourself out there in the public on a stage, to put yourself more in a central roles of some sort, or roles that require more performance. It can be also the indication of that this eclipse kickstarts a new hobby of yours, a new passion that you haven't found before, a new creative outlet. But it's kind of a new sport. Fifth house is sports we enjoy to do because we have fun, like either hiking or swimming or, you know, playing tennis. And some frustration can push you in that direction. Like I'm fed up. I just want to go out there and enjoy and feel the pulse of life. And you start expressing yourself creatively. So there we go, the 12 signs. Thank you so much. Just to let you know, we have new webinars. Victor is doing Where is the Money in the Horoscope webinar, just $55. It's going to be a 5 to 6 hour webinar, which shows you exactly not what your vocation is, but how you can get money, because sometimes these two are not the same. And it's 30% off for a couple of days more. And another webinar with Krasi about eclipses on the 25th of June, how to interpret eclipses according to Babylonian astrology, all eclipses, you know, so you can interpret them with your own eyes. Thank you. I love you so much. And yeah, this eclipse, let's make the best out of it. If on a world level it's scary and a bit too intense, on a personal level, let's raise the vibrations, and I hope we manifest the best out of it.